Welcome to the next episode of the Austin Bar Association's Council of Firsts. I'm your host, Amanda Arriaga, Austin Bar President. This podcast is made possible by the Texas Bar Foundation. In today's episode, we have Judge Lora Livingston, first African-American woman to preside over a district court in Travis County. Judge Livingston has been a true leader for the legal community, dedicating her career to promoting access to justice for all. She's been active on the boards of the Texas Access to Justice Foundation, the Texas Access to Justice Commission, the National Association of IALTA Programs, the Texas Center for the Judiciary, and the Board of Volunteer Legal Services of Central Texas. Judge Livingston has been recognized for her accomplishments at the local, state, and national level. She has received the Spirit of Excellence Award by the American Bar Association Commission on Racial and Ethnic Diversity in the Profession, the Distinguished Service Award from the National Center for State Courts, the Texas Access to Justice Commission Pro Bono Champion Award, the Texas Equal Access to Justice Foundation Harold F. Kleinman Award, the Lone Star Girl Scouts Women of Distinction Award, the Distinguished Lawyer Award by the Austin Bar Foundation, the Pathfinder Award from the Travis County Women Lawyers Association, the AISD Community Service Award, the Lotus Award from the Asian Family Support Services, and the Jurisprudence Award from the Anti-Defamation League of Austin. Judge Livingston has also been widely credited with establishing two important initiatives in Travis County: the Travis County Self-Help Center to assist self-represented litigants with legal information, and, of course, the establishment of the Travis County Civil and Family Courts facility. Judge Livingston has accomplished so much in her career and has a strong legacy, and has been described as a mentor to many, including previous guest Betty Bayou Torres, Executive Director of the Texas Access to Justice Foundation. I am honored to have with us today Judge Lora Livingston.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, Judge, today is sort of a version of This Is Your Life. So everyone knows about your accomplishments since you became a judge, but I want to talk first about how you became a lawyer. I understand that in college you thought you would either go into journalism or the law, and in theory, both professions let you use your voice to help people. So why did you choose being a lawyer?
Well, that's it. I wanted to use my voice to help people who couldn't use theirs, in a nutshell. I mean, that was the whole point. Both litigation and journalism are really about storytelling. And when you're an advocate, your job is to tell your client's story in a way that resonates with the fact finder or the decision maker. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell a story, I wanted to make a point, and I wanted to help people. And both those professions, I thought, gave me an opportunity to do that. I ultimately settled on being a lawyer because I thought that the way in which I might be able to help the voiceless would be a more powerful contribution, frankly. And so I ultimately chose the law. And I was inspired by some wonderful mentors and some wonderful role models in the legal profession. And so ultimately I settled on the law.
I love the way you said that. Tell a story, make a point, and help people. It's a very concise way to describe what it is that you've done with your career.
It's why I became a lawyer in the first place.
So you started off as a Reginald Heber Smith Community Lawyer Fellow, a Reggie. You were assigned to the Legal Aid Society of Central Texas in Austin. And now there's a Lora Livingston Fellowship. So why are these fellowships so important for lawyers?
Well, the fellowship is really significant in a couple of ways. When I was going to law school, first-year students, particularly first-year students of color, had a very difficult time getting the attention of big firm recruiters. The big firms would send recruiters to law schools during, the fall semester, and they would interview folks whose grades were no really better or worse than the students of color, and yet the students of color had a very difficult time finding employment for summer jobs, particularly first-year students of color. So the scholarship, which is really the brainchild of Judge Eric Shepard, his vision was to assist particularly those first-year students of color who might otherwise have been overlooked. And so along with Leslie Dipple and Tony Nelson and then Rudy Mateer and Judge Naranjo joined us, we got together and decided that the way to really make an impact, particularly for those first-year students of color, would be to create this fellowship that would not ignore them, that would recognize their talent, that would see something in them that we thought we could inspire and mentor and ultimately assist them in becoming the lawyer we knew they could be. And so they spend 5 weeks at the courthouse working with judges. They spend 5 weeks in a law firm learning what it's like to be a summer associate. And that 10-week program really gives them an opportunity that they might not otherwise have. And I'm so proud of the fellowship program. We started with 3 students and 3 law firms, and now we're up to over 9 law firms and 9 students in the summer, and it has been an absolute labor of love. Our students and fellows have gone on to Fortune 500 companies and governments and big law firms and small law firms and government service. It's been an absolute joy to see these students blossom in the way that they have, and I'm so proud.
So maybe the same way that you're part of a class of Reggies, and there are decades of Reggies that still get together. Maybe one day there will be the Livingstons.
That's, well, I don't know that we'll call them that, but
The Libbies.
there is a plan, in fact, for a reunion of all of our fellows because we want them to reach back as well, to mentor new fellows, to reach back and mentor the law students that are coming through law school now, to talk about their experience as a fellow, but also their experience in the work world, their experience studying for the bar examination and passing it and going on to a wonderful career in the law. So we have now enough of a cohort of fellows that we think that we can reach back and grow the fellowship program in significant ways, but also connect students who have already graduated and become lawyers with students who are coming through the fellowship program now. And that synergy, we hope, will just create a whole new kind of relationship that will be beneficial to both groups.
Yeah, and it's really important to have sort of that circular appeal so that folks don't just get a fellowship and then go out into the community, but that they come back and that they're able to keep giving back.
I'm all about paying it forward and paying it back. People helped me. People were role models and mentors for me. I want to be a mentor and a role model for others. I want to help other people be mentors and role models. And the more we pay it forward and pay it back, the more people that will ultimately benefit from the work that we do. It's a great program. It's a wonderful experience for students. And as I said, it's an opportunity in many cases for folks to find employment, to spend time and be exposed to what happens at the courthouse, to find employment and be exposed to what goes on in a big law firm as a summer associate, particularly for students who might not have otherwise had that opportunity. So I'm really, really proud of the program.
Well, that is a wonderful program. And if you need donations, we can put a link in the podcast notes so that folks can keep donating to this at the Austin Bar Foundation.
Well, I am so grateful to the Austin Bar Association for the partnership. It's an Austin Bar program, really, and the leadership of yourself and other presidents, and of course your amazing executive director, Delane Ward, all of whom have helped make this program what it is today. So we're all on our fellowship committee, we're all grateful for the support that we receive from the bar, and I'm sure that Leslie Dipple and others will be in touch for firm donations and other things, since, of course, judges can't make such a pitch.
But speaking of paying it forward and paying it back, in 1999, you became the first African-American woman to preside over a district court in Travis County. What implications did you think that would have then, and what do they still have today?
So when I was sworn in, I think I said something like, I'm proud to be the first, but I hope I won't be the last. And I still feel that way today. And fortunately, I'm not the last. There have been others that have gone on to hold positions like the one that I held. And I'm so, so proud of the other judges who have held similar positions. Brenda Kennedy, for example, was a judge long before I became a judge, but then she came onto the district bench after I became the first African-American woman to serve in that position. So I might have been the first district judge, but not the first African-American woman judge in Travis County. Judge Harriet Murphy preceded both Brenda Kennedy and I. And so, the legacies that started, the shoulders that we stand on, are meant to provide a foundation for others to stand on our shoulders. We stood on shoulders. We want people to stand on our shoulders, and we want people to stand on those shoulders, and on and on and on. And so while I'm extremely proud to be able to say that I was the first African-American woman in Travis County to be elected to a district court, I said it then and I'll say it again. I'm so glad I won't be the last. We need people in the community to be reflective of the community. We need judges to be reflective of the community. We need police officers to be reflective of the community. We need teachers to be reflective of the community. We need business leaders to be reflective of the community. And the more we can build on those legacies and continue to provide broad shoulders and stepping stones for people to be uplifted in our community, the better the community will be. So I'm really proud of that, but I'm hoping that I can remain proud of the legacy that will be built as a result of the work that we're doing today.
I think you will. This last round of swearing-in ceremonies this year had so many women judges, particularly women of color. So when I was chatting with Justice Gisela Triana, we were joking about how we hope one day that this will just be commonplace.
Exactly. That we won't think of it as an anomaly, or we won't think of it as a milestone. It'll just be the reality because it should be the reality, right?
That's
As
right.
I said, the bench should be reflective of the community. Every walk of life should be reflective of the community. Every profession should be reflective of the community. And the only way to do that is for us to work hard to make sure that we elect folks that are from the community, who want to give back to the community, who understand the struggles of the community, and who are willing to do the work that it will take to better the community. And as long as we keep doing that, we are going to live in an amazing community.
So when I think about 1999, it's actually not that long ago, even though it was a milestone and it's historic. Are there challenges that you saw or that you faced in 1999 that you think are still around today?
You know, it's funny because in some ways it seems like yesterday, and in some ways it seems like a really long time ago. Lately, I've been thinking about my life before the pandemic and since the pandemic. But back, in the early 2000s, I thought about my life before 1999 and after 2000. I mean, there are milestones and significant events in your life that really mark a significant era in your life in some ways. And so for me, those are some of them. The pandemic and kind of the transition out of the 1990s into the 2000s, and then, of course, into the 21st century as a whole, right? And so it's in some ways very familiar because it isn't that long ago, and in some ways a lifetime ago. That's the good news, I suppose, in some ways. Bad news in some ways is that not that much has changed. We were dealing with Rambo litigation tactics in the 90s, and now it's gotten so bad we have to have a civility oath when you become a lawyer. People don't understand civics in ways that frighten me because they don't understand the basic principles of our democracy. And that is very frightening. And so in some ways, the things that I was worried about in 1999, would my computer work on January 1, 2000, for example, seem trivial compared to whether or not my democracy is going to withstand attacks from people who claim to be patriots. It's mind-boggling to me that in the 21st century, we are still struggling for things like voting rights and fighting against voter suppression efforts and things that we thought we'd settled. We thought we'd settled the issues, or at least made progress in significant ways over racial tensions and reconciliation among people who were very segregated when I was born. And we've made enormous strides since the 90s. And yet, seems like we still have a lot of work to do. And so we have to keep fighting. We have to keep up the hard work it will take to teach young people about civics and middle-aged people and older people. We have to teach everybody about civics. We have to explain what the rule of law means and why it's important. We have to continue to work on teaching everybody about our democratic principles. And I don't mean voting in a political party. I mean voting, period. We're in the middle of an election right now related to a proposition. There are no people on this ballot, but the words on the ballot are meaningful. And so people need to vote one way or the other. They have to let their voices be heard. They have to let the will of the people be the law of the land. And wow, it seems like not much has changed in 1999, and yet some significant strides have been made. It's a conundrum.
Well, and this is also why I have tried, while I have been part of the Austin Bar Association and the Young Lawyers, to talk about all of the lawyers that work in the other branches of government, because we typically talk about the judiciary and the court system. But based on what you are saying, it's really important that we have smart lawyers in all three branches.
Absolutely.
The work that can be done at a state agency, at a legislative committee, impacts everything else that happens as well.
Absolutely. Well, we need smart lawyers to work at school boards. We need smart lawyers to work in every branch of government, in every state agency, in every city commission. We need smart lawyers to represent teachers and their interest. We need smart lawyers to represent doctors and their interests. We need smart lawyers to represent bus drivers and their interest. We need smart lawyers in every walk of life and in every profession and in every issue that might come to the public's attention. We need a smart lawyer in every conversation, because with a smart lawyer in the room, we can mostly be assured that the rule of law will be respected, or at least explained, right? And that hopefully the rule of law will be followed. So we need smart lawyers not only in every branch of government, but in every boardroom and in every agency and in every walk of life. And business people need smart lawyers. I mean, just you name it, a smart lawyer is going to be a beneficial addition to the conversation.
Maybe the next iteration of your fellowship is somewhere that goes between an executive branch and a legislative branch committee, and then we'll call them the Smarties.
Well, I want to be a part of that conversation for sure.
Yeah, it's got your name on it, so I feel like you have some pull about what it could be about. So speaking of being a Smartie, you have served the legal community, the community at large, your whole career. What are some organizations that have meant the most to you professionally and personally?
Oh, wow. The danger of trying to create a list is that you'll leave something or someone important off that list. And so it's really hard. I will say this. I have enjoyed every community organization I've been a part of, and I've been a part of a lot of them. I have enjoyed my walk in my faith and the activities I've been involved in the sort of the wider faith community. I've enjoyed all of the civic work that I've done. Some of that has been really difficult work, tackling really difficult social issues, and some of it's just been fun. I have enjoyed being on the board of the Austin Symphony, where we bring classical music to communities of color that traditionally haven't really had a close relationship with some of the classics, let's say. And so that's been a real joy. I've enjoyed working on all of the state agencies and with all of the people that are working in the trenches around issues of access to justice, whether that's been on the foundation board or the commission board related to access to justice initiatives. I've worked with legislators to try to make sure that legal services to low-income Texans is provided, and that it's provided in a robust way and it's funded robustly so that the lawyers in our community who are dedicated to a life of public service in their practice can assist low-income Texans find the legal help that they need. I've been very involved, as you mentioned earlier, in the self-represented litigant arena, and I'm extremely proud of our self-help center here in Travis County. I've worked with others around the country on pro bono efforts and self-help efforts, so I can't say that there's necessarily one organization I've enjoyed more than another. What I can say is that the issues that I've been involved in have been near and dear to my heart, and I think that they have enhanced the public's perception of our justice system, and they've certainly fulfilled me personally in my quest to be an active contributor to the world of access to justice in Texas and in the nation.
Well, and a resounding theme for this podcast and with the guests is you have to be part of organizations that you believe in. You can't join for a resume.
Oh, yeah. Well, and all of the ones that I'm talking about and all the ones that I've been involved in are much more interested in you rolling up your sleeves and getting to work than what's on your resume. So it's a given that all of the folks that are recruited to the commission, the foundation, the Urban League, the Symphony Board, the Central East Austin Community Organization, which now doesn't even exist, but at the time that it was around was a very active member, agency within this community that was fighting for equality and for all kinds of social advancements. And so whether it's, a big organization or a small one, I was on the board of the food bank for a really long time. I still contribute to the food bank and still volunteer with members of my family at the food bank because it's important to be an active and vibrant member of your community and to help other people in your community that need help. And so, it's you name an organization, if I was involved in it, you can be sure that it was doing good work and it was helping people. And so that's what it's been about for me. And I don't think they care about whether I was a judge or not. I don't think they care whether I was smart or not. I think what they cared about was that I was willing to work and I was willing to help and I was willing to serve others. And that's what community service is about. And that's what we all need to be about if we want to live in a vibrant community like this one. That's what it takes. So that's what we have to do to contribute to it.
Hear, hear. So I mentioned in the introduction, you mentioned a little bit right now, but you are credited, you might not take the credit, you are credited with creating the Travis County Self-Help Center. So why was that important to you?
Well, I can't tell you, I don't know that I have the right words to express how important it is to make sure that people who want to represent themselves or simply cannot afford to hire a lawyer to represent them, which is most of the folks that are self-represented. Let's just be honest. Most people represent themselves because they can't afford a lawyer. That's just the reality. And so to be able to help those people accomplish a solution to their legal problem, I can't even tell you how happy it makes me to know that we were able to help someone do something for themselves to solve a problem that they could solve on their own with some assistance, with some help, with some advice sometimes, with just some information sometimes, right? There's a whole continuum of ways in which we can help people help themselves. And so the Self-Help Center is just that. It is a place that helps people help themselves. When you can do that and solve a legal problem, wrap up litigation, get child support flowing, make sure somebody's getting a chance to see their child on a regular basis, change their name, get a will, leave property to a loved one after they die, whatever it is, prevent being evicted, solve a debt problem, whatever the problem is, to the extent that we can help people help themselves, we have done a good thing. And we have solved a legal problem. That's what lawyers do. We help people solve problems. And sometimes that means we represent them. But sometimes that means we help them help themselves at the courthouse. And that's what the Self-Help Center does. It helps people help themselves. And there is just no better feeling than that.
Well, now you said a word that I can't say in this next question. You said courthouse. You are also credited with creating not the new courthouse, but the Travis County Civil and Family Courts facility. So talk to me about that, how long it took, and how proud you are now that it's done.
I can't tell you how proud I am because it's not quantifiable. I am beyond proud. But I'm also one of many, 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 many people responsible for the planning, the funding, the construction, the maintenance, and the operation of that building and the work that goes on in that building. I am but a tiny part of a really, really big effort by a lot of people, not to mention John K. Dietz, who, as you know, Judge Dietz led that effort for many, many years before he retired from the bench. And, the effort started more than a decade ago. And we had some ups, we had some downs. We brought to the Commissioner's Court the attention that we thought the courthouse needed. The old courthouse, the Heman, Marion Sweat Courthouse, it was inadequate and had been for a long time, and we brought that need to the Commissioner's Court, and ultimately they made it possible for us to begin construction and now complete construction and move in to an absolutely gorgeous court facility that is worthy of the work that is done there. It is a dignified space. It is beautiful. It is light. It is airy. It is befitting of the professionalism that is displayed among the professionals that work in that building. Those are elected officials. Those are people who are not elected, who support the work that goes on in that building. The maintenance people, the sheriff deputies who provide security, the facilities managements, the judges, the support staff, the staff attorneys, the clerks, everybody plays a part in the operation of that building, and they are all worthy individuals who deserve a dignified place to do that work. They are professionals, and they deserve a professional space in which to do the people's business. We now can provide that to them in the new building. And I could not be more proud of the work that happens in that building and that work that went into the creation of that building. Judge Andy Hathcock played an important role on our committee, Peg Letke, and of course my colleague Eric Shepard, Judge Dietz, everybody on the Commissioner's Court, all of the people in the planning and PBO departments and the people who worked out financing and the lawyers at the county attorney's office. I mean, they're just talk about a joint effort. I mean, it really was a labor of love for a lot of folks, and our construction partners and the builders and, all of the tradesmen who worked on that building. Everyone is proud of the final product. And I could not be more proud of the teamwork, the cooperation, the collaboration, and the forward thinking to build a building that will last long after all of us are gone.
Did you ever think about delaying your retirement so that you could work in there for several years?
No, I did not. I got to work in the building for 3 weeks before I retired. My portrait will be hung in that building at some point in what was my courtroom for 3 weeks. And as proud as I was to work on the building, the reason for the retirement really was personal, and one that I needed to make to spend more time with my parents, who are now 98, almost 99, and 94. And I need to be available to them. And there's, as wonderful as that new building is, it's not as wonderful as spending time with my parents. So I needed to retire when I did so that I could be available to my family. And I don't regret that decision at all.
Well, and I'm sure someone will give you a pair of keys. So if you want to come in, you can come in at your convenience.
Not only did I get to work in the building for 3 weeks before my retirement, but I've also been back already as a visiting judge, and they are as hospitable as you might imagine. And so I'm welcome in that building, I'm told, as often as I want to come back and work as a visiting judge, and I'm happy to do so.
I'm pretty sure that is sincere, and they would love to have you anytime.
In fact, I'm scheduled to go later in May.
What advice would you give to lawyers in the Austin community that are looking to get involved and maybe follow in your footsteps but don't know how?
Well, the first thing I would say is join a bar association, and I'd start with the Austin Bar Association. If you're a newer lawyer, you could start with the Austin Young Lawyers Association. Austin is blessed with a number of affinity bars, so not only are the two I just mentioned available for your consideration, but we have an LGBT bar, we have an animal rights bar, we have Hispanic lawyers and African American lawyers and Asian Pacific Islander lawyers, and you name it. There's an affinity bar association. Probably there are also practice area bar associations. There are inns of court that are organized around general litigation and also some specific practice areas like the Lee Yackel Intellectual Property Inn of Court. I mean, there are a number of opportunities for mentor relationships. There are a number of opportunities for public service projects that you might want to work on, enormous opportunities for business development, enormous opportunities for training and learning how to be a better lawyer, and networking and business development in any number of ways about any number of subjects about running a law firm. And so the first thing I would say is get involved. Do something for yourself because you're interested in it, but also do something that will provide a benefit to someone else. All of those organizations, all of those bar associations are about public service, but they're also about professional development. There's no one purpose for any of these organizations. They're multifaceted. They have multi-layers and multi-interests that are explored in these groups. And so there's something for everybody in one or more of them. And so I would say get involved, hang out with people who are like-minded, who are interested in doing some work. You'll also find, at least in my experience, that those people are also interested in having fun. They can help teach you about the importance of a work-life balance, which is extremely important because you have to take care of yourself as well as your family before you can take care of others. And so I think these are organizations that help you be not only a well-rounded lawyer, but a well-rounded person. And I think that is what makes a happy, well-adjusted, good lawyer.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience before we end?
I wish you all the best in whatever it is you're doing and whatever track you're on, whatever direction you're headed in. I wish you the best. Most importantly, I just want to thank you for the time this afternoon to spend asking me about my own journey. But also I want to thank the Bar Association because over the years, the Bar Association has been incredibly supportive of the judiciary as a whole, the legal community, but also to me personally. And I could not be just more grateful for the support and the assistance and just the fun that I've had as a member of the Austin Bar. So thanks very much for your leadership, and thanks to everybody at the bar for all the support they've provided to me over the years.
Well, thank you for being with us today. You're always a member of the Austin Bar. You're always part of the family. So
I pay my dues regularly.
We will continue to support you as you go into your retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Take care.